Have you ever imagined that a number could reveal the biggest mystery of this universe? Well, it may sound really crazy, but I'm talking about this incredible number 0. The incredibility of this number lies in the fact that it is neither positive nor negative. It just sits right in the middle of the number line, where both the sides are surrounded by infinity. But no one knows that this number reveals the deepest secret of this universe. The definition of 0 is nothing. And in terms of mathematics, when you add something with the exact opposite of something, you get nothing. For example, let's take the number 9. So when you add 9 with the exact opposite, and that is -9, you get the number 0. Since +9 and -9 are the exact opposite of each other, they are called as dualities. Now if you notice carefully, you will find that this whole universe is made up of such dualities. Day and night, hot and cold, big and small, love and hate, victory and defeat, happy and sad, light and shadow, you just name it. You will find hundreds of examples. Now if you combine all these dualities together, you will get the number 0 again. And 0 means nothing. So what does it mean? What does it indicate? Well, it reveals the biggest mystery of this universe, and that is, everything that you see around is basically nothing. Everything is just an illusion to your brain, your mind, and your senses. And this illusion is so powerful that you don't see the reality. In fact, you don't want to see the reality. You want to believe the lie, and that's a fact. Our body, our knowledge, our intelligence, our emotions and feelings are all based on dualities. And that's the reason why it is not easy to accept the truth that everything is just an illusion. Even I was really surprised when I first came to discover this. But then I started investigating more about it, trying to unlock the hidden science behind everything. By the way, speaking of duality, do you know that there are only 2 colors in this universe, and that is black and white? Every other color is just an illusion to the eye. Now you may call me crazy, but let me give you an example. Red, green and blue, they are called the primary colors. When you combine all of them together, you get white color. Now let's take the opposite, cyan, magenta and yellow. Cyan is the opposite of red, magenta is the opposite of green, and yellow is the opposite of blue. And when you combine all of them together, you get black color. So what does it mean? It means that there are only 2 colors in this universe, and that is black and white. Let me give you one more example. If I'm correct that there are only 2 colors, then a combination of these 2 colors should give a neutral color, which will reflect every other color in this universe. And yes, it does. A combination of black and white gives you a gray or silver color, and a shiny silvered mirror reflects the image of every object with its natural color. This clearly shows that there are only 2 colors in this universe, and that is black and white. Every other color is just an illusion to your eye. Cheese, butter and curd have something in common, and that is milk. In the same way, everything that exists and every event that happens in this universe has something in common, and that is time. Time is the basic ingredient of everything. And if time is everything, then it is also true that nothing can last forever. The taste of a chocolate, the smell of a perfume, the sound of music, everything has a time limit. Without time, nothing can ever exist. So to understand the hidden mystery of this universe, we need to understand what is exactly time. When there is a difference in height, water flows from a higher level to a lower level. When there is a potential difference, electricity flows from a higher potential to a lower potential. When there is a temperature difference, heat flows from a hot body to a cold body. In the same way, when there is a difference in time, every event in this universe happens. The definition of time is change. Something that changes, something that flows continuously, something that doesn't remain the same. It is called time. Consider a still photograph. When you look at a photograph, it tells you a story. But when you add time into that photograph, it becomes an event, a motion picture. So an event to happen in this universe, there should be a difference in time. If you look at your daily life, you will find that a lot of things are happening around you. But in reality, nothing is happening. Everything was a zero and everything will remain as zero. Just the change in pattern gives you an illusion that a lot of things are happening around you. Let me give you an example. Consider the sound of this piano. It has a unique sound. Now if I change the pattern, it becomes a completely different sound. But one thing should be noticed carefully, and that is every sound is made up of the same 4 different notes. Just the change in pattern gives you a feeling that it's a different sound. The same thing happens in this universe. There is always a change in the pattern, which gives you an illusion that a lot of things are happening around you. One more thing that I have noticed during my research is that everything happens in a circle. Take for example the life cycle of a human being. Everything starts from a zero with the evolution of the zygote, the first living reproductive cell. Gradually the zygote begins to divide itself and eventually develops into an embryo. From an embryo, it develops into a fetus. The entire process takes about 9 months and a little human being takes his birth in this world. As time passes, he grows up, spends his childhood days and understands the rules and laws of this world. He becomes adult, gets into work culture, makes money and property, gets married and has kids. As time continues, he gets matured and passes through his middle age, spends his time with his grandkids, and finally he gets old. His body is no longer capable of fighting diseases and supporting the pressure of this world. And ultimately, he dies. Everything becomes a zero again. Everything ends up exactly from where it started. The only thing that he enjoyed is time. And this is not just with the case of human beings and other species. It is universal, which means that even the heavenly bodies follows a circle. Take for example the revolution of planet Earth around the Sun. It starts from a point and then circles around the Sun and reaches back to the point from where it started. And in this whole process, a lot of seasons have changed, a lot of things were created, and a lot of them were destroyed. But one thing remained the same, and that is everything ends up from where it started. And this is the definition of time. It gives an illusion that a lot of things are happening around you. But in reality, nothing is happening. Everything was a zero, and everything will remain a zero. Apart from time, there are 2 other factors that are heavily responsible for such a powerful illusion, and they are speed and distance. Amazingly, these 3 are connected with each other. Speed equals distance divided by time. Speed and distance are indirect products of time itself. In fact, if you observe closely, you will find that every equation of physics has speed, distance, or time as one of the fundamental quantity. There is not a single equation which is completely free from any one of these 3 quantities. In fact, it is not possible. And do you know why? Because everything in this universe is made up of time. Without time, nothing in this universe can ever exist. But now the existence of time also raises a different kind of question. If everything is made up of time, and also everything that you see around is completely a zero, which means that nothing in this universe is reality, then the question is, what is reality? To find that answer is not that simple, because you have to go beyond time for that. You may of course find a lot of books in the world describing what is reality, but most of them are either fake science or personally inspired definitions. Luckily, there was one little scope for me, and that is to research some of the ancient Indian scriptures. Now, as you might know, ancient Indians had a lot of knowledge about this universe and other universes as well. And in fact, the number 0 was given by ancient India. So I thought if I study some of the ancient Indian scriptures, I may figure out what is reality. One more thing that I should say is that reality should be something that is timeless, something that is not affected by time. And to find that something, of course, is not an easy task. It took me a couple of years to study and research the vast science of Indian scriptures. But at the end, I could figure out something really special and mysterious. There is a mention of something called as the soul, which is completely different from this material world. Now, I believe many of you may have heard about this term soul, but never thought about its nature. According to Indian scriptures, the soul was never born, and therefore it will never die. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn and eternal, which clearly means that the soul is not affected by time. It is a timeless particle. The scriptures describe that the soul lives in the body of a living organism till it is alive. Once the organism is dead, the soul escapes out of that body and enters into another living organism, and this whole process continues. Now at this moment, you must be wondering that there are billions of souls since there are billions of living organisms. But it is not true. The soul can never be divided. It remains as one. Division only comes when you consider time and distance. Something that has a length can be divided. Something that has a distance can be divided. But when you consider distance, it should also be affected by time, since they are mathematically connected with each other. But the problem is, the soul is not affected by time, which means that it doesn't have any length or distance, and therefore it can never be divided. The more you think and try to understand the nature of the soul, the more confusing it becomes. For years I was thinking about how the soul looks like, but then I came to realize that the soul doesn't have any structure or shape or dimension. Something that has a structure is affected by distance, and something that has a distance should also be affected by time. But again, the soul is not affected by time, which means that it has no structure or dimension. And if you consider motion, you will find that the soul is motionless, no distance, no speed, and no time. Frankly enough, it is a little bit difficult to understand the exact nature of the soul, since it belongs to a different world. We all live in a time world, but the soul belongs to a timeless world. And to understand everything about that timeless world is nearly impossible, because our knowledge and our intelligence are also made up of time. But then I came to realize that we are all living in a timeless world. Time is just an illusion. Let me give you an example. Consider this number 0 again. This 0 can be written as 8 minus 8. Now 8 can be divided into 4s, and 4s can be divided into 2s, and 2s can be divided into 1s, and this whole process will continue up to infinity. It will never stop. But the final result is nothing but a 0. The same thing happens with this universe. We see a lot of divisions. Things are divided, species are divided, places are divided, a lot of things are starting, and a lot of things are ending. A lot of changes are happening around us every time, every moment. But ultimately, when you combine everything together, you will get this number 0. Time is nothing but an illusion. And if time is an illusion, then just wait for a moment and go back in time and see what exactly happened. There are a lot of theories about the evolution of this universe, a lot of theories describing about time and how things came into existence. Some theories are accepted and some are rejected. But at the end, when the shining lamp of ultimate knowledge opens your eyes, you can see clearly that this world is nothing but a movie. We are all actors of that movie. Then you can see how many times and in how many lives you had mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, husbands and wives, friends and relatives, strength, power, wealth, and properties. They all appeared and disappeared. How many times you were born as a human being? How many times as a beast? how many times as a bird, and how many times as a reptile and other species. How many times you were rich, and how many times you were poor. How many times you were over the mountain of happiness, and how many times you were under the ocean of distress. Everything just came and went. Everything just appeared and disappeared. And when you get this ultimate knowledge, you wake up in amazement, smile, and then say, "Oh my God, it was just a dream, an illusion of time. Everything was nothing but a zero." Trust me, this will happen to every living being at the end. I can now understand why ancient India gave this number 0 to the world. They knew the secret behind. They knew that